Guys, we're finally here, man. It's been months. We've been like, what, 5 months since the last official Call of Duty event, and we are in the week of. We're just a few days out from Call of Duty Minneapolis, the kickoff event for the Call of Duty League, a new era for the Call of Duty League, and I couldn't be more excited to finally talk about the predictions for this event and, you know, looking forward to the rest of this year and beyond of how this year could potentially sort itself out, and for the event especially. So I'm heading out there on Thursday for the event, so of course I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see what happens in Minneapolis and beyond. Today we're talking about the event and everything else going into the games. So of course, without further ado, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. Let's go. And the footage you guys are watching here is just footage from the community tournament, and of course the community tournament went incredibly well, and the highlight video is coming out soon about it. But that's what I wanted to tell you guys before we got into the video. Let's get going. So of course, with this Minnesota event, it's not an actual tournament. We're just seeing matches played kicking off the year to give ourselves a good idea, a good baseline for where these teams could potentially be at. There's some pretty massive matchups this week, though, that are really going to set the precedent for the rest of this league and how it's going to go down. I mean, the first event of the weekend is Huntsmen versus Dallas Empire. As you guys are seeing the schedule here, there's just a lot of matches that I'm really excited about. Specifically, just going to highlight a few of them. Of course, the Huntsmen Empire match off the start of the weekend. Then the Subliners Royal Ravens match is going to be really interesting because it's going to be the first time that we're going to see the London Royal Ravens in action. Obviously, the past few weeks, we've seen them a little bit in some scrims online, but we haven't seen much of them. So to see them in a LAN environment and play the Subliners, which are definitely going to be a quality team year long, that's a really, really fun matchup for me. You know, then you've got like the Ultra and Surge. We're going to see that Ultra lineup officially for the first time. And then, of course, the match I think the majority of people are the most excited about is this Atlanta FaZe Dallas Empire match on Saturday night. That is going to be a massive match to potentially prove who is the best team early on in this game. So that's something that I think everyone's really, really excited about. And we got some really interesting games to wrap things up for the weekend. Of course, we got the Huntsmen versus OpTic Gaming match, which if you at all followed OpTic these past few years, that's going to be a really exciting match to watch. Of course, there's so many storylines in that matchup. And then again, the last 3 matches are all pretty interesting. The Atlanta FaZe Subliners match should be really, really good as well. And then the home team, the Rokkr, playing the Ultra should be a fun match to end the weekend. So really an exciting slate of games, and I really do believe it's going to set the foundation for how this league goes and how it starts things off. And if you go 0-2 in this weekend, you're going to be feeling the pressure moving into the first actual mini tournament in London, the first home event in London. You really don't want to be starting off 0-2 because it's going to kick off a shaky year for you and create some problems chemistry wise and make you question the starting lineup and everything else. So there's a lot on the line here, even though there isn't technically cash on the line or any like tournament on the line. I'm still really excited for the matchups. So going into the event, for some of you guys who've just been, you know, jumping into it right now, at this point, the power rankings, you know, they're a little iffy. We're going to be doing a full breakdown of the power rankings tomorrow on the Best of 3 podcast. Tuesday, it'll be coming out. We're gonna be going in depth on this event and then the future predictions for the Call of Duty League with a really in-depth discussion. So I think it should be really good. I highly recommend you guys watch it. But when it comes to Minnesota, you have to expect that FaZe and Empire, the Huntsmen, are probably the 3 teams we're all looking at to get a good gauge of how good these guys actually are. And because they're facing off against each other, it only makes sense that those are the guys that we're really dialing in and looking at. So when it comes to this first match with the Huntsmen and the Empire, I mean, you got to be looking at the Empire and how they play in Search and Destroy. So we haven't seen these teams play Search and Destroy in a while now. At the beginning of the game when it first came out, teams were okay with scrimming it. When they're just learning the matches, they were streaming it. But then now the game's solidified. They don't want to give away their strats and their setups for Search, and so they're not playing it on stream. That's why I'm so excited to see how that goes down with the S&D. I mean, the Empire, you have to expect are going to be looking pretty good in that Search category. The rumor has been that Illy and Shotzi and Hook, they've been dynamic and nasty in S&D, and I 100% believe that hype. I think they looked really, really good at the beginning of the year. They were winning all those tournaments early on, and I'd be surprised if they've really lost that shine. I'm expecting the Empire to take this first match, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's really, really close. I think the Huntsmen, of course, the Huntsmen have so much firepower. You expect them to be good in respawn, both hardpoint and domination. But I just think Empire has that X factor, especially in the Search and Destroy category. And that's why I'm going to give them the edge, just a small margin better than the Huntsmen. That really is what I'm expecting in that first match. In the second match, I would expect the Seattle Surge to be able to handle the Mutineers. I mean, no disrespect to the Mutineers. I really think they're going to be a solid team year long, but I really do trust Seattle in this situation to take care of business. I think early on in the year, they're going to be adapted. They're going to be ready to play. Overall, I definitely trust their roster more in Search and Destroy. You know, like, would I be shocked if the Mutineers upset Seattle here? Definitely not. I think it's for sure possible, but I expect the Surge to take care of business. Skipping forward just a little bit, the Royal Ravens and Subliners is, again, like I said, a really interesting match. Out of all the matches this weekend, we might learn the most in this one just because we don't know, like, basically anything about the Royal Ravens at this point. Of course, based off Black Ops 4, you would expect the Royal Ravens to be really good at respawn and then struggle in Search and Destroy category. Of course, there's Scraps, who kind of has been known as the respawn master, but then struggling in the Search and Destroy categories. But at the end of the day, I do trust the Subliners as a whole, as a roster. I think I expect them to be significantly better than London in Search and Destroy, and then respawn could potentially go either way. Domination, of course, is an X factor at this point. We truly have no idea how that's going to go in a match like this in Domination. In hardpoint, I would give the edge to the Subliners just barely. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. It could go either way, but I'm going to pick the Subliners just barely. So, moving forward to the biggest match of the weekend, the Atlanta FaZe Dallas Empire match. Of course, I picked Dallas Empire to beat the Huntsmen in the first map, so Empire's already got one win under their belts at this point. So, I mean, man, this could go either way. I really like the Atlanta FaZe roster, though. I think as a whole, the trio of Simp, Abezy, and Priesta is so dominant on paper, and they've looked incredibly good in scrims overall. And so I'm going to pick Atlanta to beat Empire just barely. I think Empire takes the Search and Destroy, but they lose in 4 maps, all right? But it's definitely not going to be some type of blowout. It's going to be a good match, and I'm looking forward to it for sure. So the last one we're going to talk about in this video is the Huntsmen versus OpTic Gaming match. So in my mind, OpTic's being really slept on just because of the slow start that they had. I know the players are tweeting out their frustrations with the game still, which is never a good sign. Usually the bad teams complain about the game. The good teams embrace the game. Usually how it goes. But I expect OpTic Gaming to at least hang in here with the Huntsmen. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like a lot of people are predicting or expecting at this point. You have to respect OpTic's individual talent on that team. I expect the Huntsmen to win in a 3-0, but they're going to be close matches. It's not going to be blowouts. It's not going to be like a 100-point club situation like some fans think it is going to be. So that's where my biggest difference is with people. I do think OpTic Gaming will hang in there, but at the end of the day, I expect the Huntsmen to take care of business and finish it out. Overall, I mean, we could be here for a long time if we talked about all of the matches, but I'll be breaking it down after it happens. And tomorrow, on Tuesday, the release of the Best 3 podcast, we're going to deep dive into this event and deep dive into the predictions for the whole season. So we're going to be predicting MVPs and champions and everything else. So I highly recommend you guys check out the Best 3 podcast and give it a listen because it's going to be a big one, and I'm pumped to deep dive and talk about it all. So if you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I obviously really do appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot, so it really does mean a lot to me. But as always, guys, I'm your boy Abezy, and we will see you next time. I'm out.